Got to start on the bad news, of course. Extremely disappointing weekend for Arsenal, losing at home to West Ham. First home loss in the Premier League this season. The next day, I think we all donned our Man City scarves for a bit, and then they couldn't do the job against Liverpool. So 11 points clear. The Reds are now having played a game more, of course, but it's a very big gap now. So first question, is that the title race over?
Yes, I think so. I mean, honestly, I think it was over beforehand. You always had a little bit of hope when the gap wasn't huge, but I think with the way Liverpool have been playing, but not so much just that, but just how stretched Arsenal have been up front and will be up front for the foreseeable future. I just didn't see a way of Arsenal putting themselves in a position to be able to take advantage of any slip up that Liverpool were going to have. Liverpool were going to have to lose about 3 games, and Arsenal were going to have to win all their games just to give themselves a chance. I just didn't see that happening. The performance we saw against West Ham and how that game unfolded. Unfortunately, it kind of felt inevitable at some point those sort of games were going to happen just because of the limited options Arsenal have up front. In a way, it happened against Leicester the week before, but they managed to get away with it because of what Mikel Merino coming off the bench and rescuing. But you can't rely on that happening week in, week out for the final 3 months of the season. A midfielder is just not going to be your saviour as a striker. So it felt inevitable. But having said that, that didn't diminish the level of disappointment of the performance and the way the game unfolded on Saturday. It was bitterly disappointing.
Certainly was, yeah. Although Mikel, he did come out fighting this morning in his press conference, saying that over his dead body, he wouldn't be giving up the title. And of course, Arsenal do have history with incredible title comebacks. I think in 1998 they were 12 points behind at this stage of the season. Then they won the title by I think it was 1 point in the end. But given, like I say, Saka and Martinelli will come back at some point, hopefully soon, but Jesus out for the season, Kai Havertz out for the season. Do those absences just make another comeback pretty much impossible?
They do. I mean, in my mind, they do. I mean, you talk about 98, that season, Arsenal had Nicolas Anelka in the second half of the season burst onto the scene. They had Mark Overmars, who scored about 18, 19 goals, massive goals during that title running in 98. Dennis Bergkamp was still there. Arsenal just don't have those players now. You've got a central midfielder playing up front. You've got a 17-year-old playing on the right-hand side. You've got a left winger who's been desperately out of form, really, for the majority of the season. You've got your playmaker, who, again, has scored 2 goals from open play all season in the Premier League. So they just don't have the tools or the weapons to be able to do what they would need to do. And even then, you'd need Liverpool now to basically lose 4 games. They've only lost one all season in the league, and there's only 12 games to go for them now. So they're going to realistically lose a third of those games. It's just not going to happen. I fully expected Mikel to come out and say the sort of things that he said today in his press conference, because he's got to, really, publicly. He's got to, just to give his players some sort of belief, not necessarily to go on and win the league, but to still get something out of this season. Don't let it peter away in the Premier League. So I thought he would come out fighting and present this sort of unified front of we're still going to go. We're not waving the white flag yet, but realistically, you get him off camera, I'm sure that he will accept now that the title isn't going to happen. And it's never really felt all season like it's going to happen either. It's just there's not really been that title winning feel to this Arsenal team this season. They've struggled. They haven't played well. You can probably count on the one hand how many games they've really played well in this season. There've been so many issues, suspensions, injuries, that it's never really got any momentum this season. Last season it did, the season before that it did, but this season it's just been a grind from the start, really, and it's never really felt like this team has been a title-winning team this season.
So would you argue that maybe you mentioned there the last two seasons, 22, 23, led the way for so long and then lost it in the final few weeks. Last season, only losing it by 2 points in the end. But the fact that Man City have had this complete implosion, and I think if we knew that would happen at the start of the season, everyone thought Arsenal would be the one to take advantage, but it hasn't happened. So, could this second place or even third or fourth place finish be more disappointing than the previous two seasons?
I think so. I think the fact that City have slipped off and Arsenal haven't been the team to take advantage is disappointing. But you've got to hold your hands up and say, look, Liverpool have been fantastic. They've lost 1 game. They've got the best player in the world, producing the best individual Premier League season ever, potentially. And, they've got a title winning players to fall back on as well as that. You've got your centre back partnership of Van Dijk and Konate, which is fantastic. You've got Trent at right back. You've got fantastic midfield. You've got Salah supported by excellent forward. They're a very good team. This stage last season, Liverpool were probably title favourites again. And everyone was talking about that Klopp was going to sign off with a quadruple. That obviously didn't happen. They fell away in the final couple of months of the season. But this isn't, this is a team that's consistently challenged for the title for years and really been Manchester City's closest challengers. So it's not like they've come from nowhere. I mean, the fact that Slot's done it in his first season, credit to him. But, he walked into a squad full of winners there, and they've had a lot. I don't want to put the word luck out because it's not been lucky what Liverpool have done. It's been fantastic, but injuries wise, they've definitely not had to deal with what the other teams have had to deal with, and they've taken advantage of that. Full credit to them for it. So, if this was a team like Leicester coming through and winning the league like they did those few years ago, yes, I think the feeling of disappointment, certainly from my point of view, would be much, much more. But this is a very, very good Liverpool team, serial winners, who have enjoyed a fantastic season with the best player in the world, in my opinion, this year, who's leading them to the title. So I don't quite have the sense that it was a massive opportunity missed for Arsenal. I think it was a missed opportunity, but not a massive one. And you have to pay credit for Liverpool.